In this short video, I'm going to show you what your fashion design mood board should look like, specifically what types of photos you do and don't want to include, and how to make sure it speaks to the target customer or the brand that you're designing for. I'm also going to show you some finished collections so you can see how the mood boards from my portfolios actually connect to what the finished designs look like. I'm So Heidi, founder of SuccessfulFashionDesigner.com, and you're watching Fashion Industry Secrets Revealed. All right, so in our first example, we've got a collection for women's lifestyle/golf apparel. I've done a lot of golf in my day, so that's what I have a lot of in my portfolio. And what we see from this mood board here, I've got the finished designs over on the right. I'm going to reveal those in a second. But what we've got is some sporty stripes, some soft watercolor type of effects, and a little pop of fun. And so what I was thinking about when I was putting this together, the customer, she's maybe early 30s to upwards of 50, and she's fun, she is into color, and she likes flowers, okay? I mean, what girl doesn't like flowers, to be honest? But the point here is that I was really trying to go after a vibe of like soft florals with some hard lines in these stripes. Now, again, I'm designing golf and lifestyle apparel. This is not a golf dress. This person is obviously not playing golf. It is okay to include competitor products on your mood board or other brands. I could have included some golf designs on this, but I actually chose not to because I didn't want to go too heavy into the actual product that I'm designing into. Some brands like when you do that. I have had clients that really want to see, if we're doing golf, they want to see a lot of golf. If we're doing yoga, they want to see a lot of yoga on the inspiration board. So it can depend on the customer or the brand. And this one I chose not to because I was going more after a look and a feel and a vibe of who this woman is. And so I chose photos from interiors, photos from landscape. These are often really, really great places to look. Cars are another great opportunity to find some fun photos. You don't always want to have fashion photos. Some are okay, but you really want to look at stuff outside of fashion. And your gut check for whether a photo belongs on your mood board or not is, who is the customer? Does this photo convey who they are, what they would do, what they're interested in, what they're attracted to? If it doesn't feel like the customer or something that they would even pick out for a wallpaper background for their desktop, then the photo doesn't belong on the mood board. So these are the photos for my specific mood board for this collection. It's a small assortment. The mood board's not huge. We initially had more photos on the mood board to begin with, but I culled it down from my portfolio just to communicate the main overarching design elements in the collection, which was the watercolor effect, sporty stripes, and soft gradients. You may or may not put little text callouts on this, but I like to. Another thing that I always pay attention to is what font that I choose for my mood board. Again, making sure it feels like the customer. So let's go ahead and do a little reveal here to see what the end assortment looks like. Here's a few pieces from the final assortment. This is not the whole assortment. It was much bigger than this, but for portfolio purposes, I just pick a few of the key elements. And so what you can see here, we've got some sporty stripes, we've got some gradient prints here, and we've got some floral design here. I'll zoom in on these a little bit so you can see better. And so that you can see when you look, not just color-wise, but look and feel, the artwork in the prints really translates. Now, this is a very print-heavy collection in terms of the stripes and this sort of gradient, abstract dot print, and this floral print here. Depending on what is the focus of your collection, if this is a lot of basic pieces, but let's say you're having a lot of fun with trims and you're using wood or metal, you want your mood board to communicate that. And so you might have pieces of cool metal shapes or something. Or if you're using a lot of textures or meshes or chunky knits for sweaters, you can use those images in your mood board. So you really want to think about what are going to be the key driving design elements. In this, it was not trims, it was not textures, it was really prints and some of these stripe elements that funneled throughout the collection. And so that's what I focused on for the mood board. Let's take a look at another example, some men's design. And so this is a little bit different. Obviously, we've got a lot of hard lines. It's a little bit modern feeling. It's very geometric. Our color palette is very obvious. I get this guy. He's a little bit more updated. He feels a little bit young. I don't want to say quite hip, but a little bit more modern. And so again, if we do a reveal here, we see he is a little bit more modern and young. Again, lifestyle golf type of product here, but you get the feeling, right? We've got these sort of stripe and blocky type of feelings. We've got these angled lines. This is another thing I always like to pay attention to, is what I'm doing to treat the photos on the mood board. And so I clipped some of the corners on these to really showcase some of the angles that I'm playing with in the collection. If you're doing a lot of circles and soft corners, you might want to make your mood board photos rounded corners, something like that. But really pay attention to all those little details and what makes sense to translate from the layout of your mood board into the final collection, right? We've got this sort of step feel, so we've got the steps here. And again, obviously the colors obviously translate over. Once again, it's the same example with the women's. We didn't have a lot of stuff that was leaning towards trims and textures. It was really print and color block heavy. And so I don't have any of that on the mood board, but that is stuff that you could play with if that is a driving design element in your final vision. The last one I want to show you is a mood board that is a little bit different. This specific customer really wanted me to put some designs on the actual mood board itself. This was for a big presentation they were doing, and they were using this as a way to get people to sort of not really invest, but it was a big presentation. And so not just showing photos, they also want to show a couple sample garments. And I have got two mood boards here, one for lifestyle and one for active. And so I want to show you how these look and feel very differently. So lifestyle, this was a brand for a company called Volition America, which really supports the Army, the U.S. Army, and very Americana feeling. And so I really focused on a lot of red, white, and blue, obviously bringing in some fun vintage feeling type of stuff. You know, this guy, he's a family guy. I love this photo here of this guy surfing, holding his little kid's hand, really into just relationships and friends and family and human support. Again, this Americana type of feeling, really proud about his country. And so every one of these photos was very specifically picked and said, yes, this guy who would ultimately wear this product, this is who he is. He's going surfing on the weekend with his kid. He is holding up the flag, feeling really proud after a bike ride. He is sitting there with his medals and the folded up flag, feeling really, really proud. And so I want to show you alternatively to that collection. We did an active collection for them as well. And so what you see here, we did have some photos from some events that they ran that they wanted us to bring in, so you can see the logo threaded throughout. You may or may not have that, that's fine. But again, very Americana proud. We feel like the Olympics is always a great founding event to the country. And so teamwork here, right? Very, very big, powerful statement as far as what this brand was going after, cheering someone on, supporting them, making people feel really good. But you can see, I'll zoom out so you can see the difference between these, right? The same brand, but two different collections, lifestyle versus active. So we have very different activities in these, and they just feel different. Some of these photos feel a little bit softer and just more traditional, and these feel a little bit more active, right? We've got these like a lot of fast movement going on, physical activity in the photos, so on and so forth. So with this brand, again, I really thought, as I always do on my mood boards, specifically about who is the end customer, what are the overarching, not just fashion related, but what are the overarching themes that we want to convey. Teamwork, again, being supportive, and sort of family, where a lot of those, like this guy, he's not in it just for the clothes, right? What are the deep roots of who he is as a person and what he believes in, and how can we emulate that in the mood board? So as you can see, the mood board layouts can be very different. Again, these are for my portfolio, and so I did kind of make some modifications to the layout. For example, you know, this initially when we were designing the collection, this mood board didn't exactly look like this, so I do modify them sometimes just to fit into the portfolio. You don't always have as much space. I think sometimes, honestly, 3, 5, 10 photos can be more than enough on your mood board. You don't need this giant collage. Almost too much, I think, can be too much. So really think about that and cull it down to say what photos actually convey who the customer is, who he or she is, what do they believe in, what do they feel, and if that photo conveys that, then include it, and if it doesn't, then don't. Again, you don't have to include fashion photos. You can or you cannot, but I would definitely make sure they're not the dominant and that you have a lot more photos of interior, abstract, nature, painting, artwork, cars, any type of stuff to fill in to really paint the picture of who the end customer is. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed that video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. And for more free tips, tutorials, and advice that you do not see here on YouTube, head on over to successfulfashiondesigner.com. And I'd love to hear from you. Let me know below in the comments, what questions about mood boards do you have?